Hello everyone! Today we're going to show you how to add a REST API as a data model to Peaka. To start, navigate to this section and add a new data source. You'll notice the Peaka REST API. Simply click on Connect REST API, and a field for the URL will appear. Here, enter any endpoint from your internal API or public APIs. For this demonstration, we'll use the SpaceX API, pasting the API endpoint here and sending the request. If you're working with an authenticated API, you can use your preferred type of authentication, such as token, basic, or bearer. If it's an OAuth 2 authentication, which is already supported by Peaka, you can choose the connection option. As you can see, we have data like this. Next, we'll ask Peaka to create a data profile. The system will automatically create a data model, but you can modify it as needed. If you're dealing with a nested structure, you can select a row selector. Within that selector, you can also define your depth. For example, some nested components over here can be created like this to normalize the data. You can also apply pagination strategies, which are common techniques used with APIs. In this case, as it's not a large dataset, we won't use any pagination. The next step is to define the parameters for the query. This is useful for pushing down all the SQL parameters into the API. If you're using filters in the where clause, you can define those parameters as API parameters, and they will be pushed down to the API, making it work much faster. In this case, we'll leave it blank and create our data catalog. Finally, the system will ask you to define the data catalog, schema, and the table name for this new dataset. Since we're using the SpaceX API, we'll name it SpaceX. It's a public API, and this is the capsules data, so we'll name it capsules. Let's create it. As you can see, it now appears as a table like this one. It's fully available to be queried from our query engine, and you can also make joins with other data sources. Let's do a query. First, we go to the Queries section and click New Query. I will create an empty query. Instead of writing query by hand, we'll use AI to make it easier. I am asking the question directly and choosing the recently created data model from the list. AI will generate the SQL query for me, and I am free to use or edit it. It looks good, and I am running it directly. As you can see, we queried the API data using SQL in real time. Thank you.